Hello and welcome to the Wild Edge podcast. I'm Claire Ackers and I'm here with...
Anthony Ackers.
How are you doing, Ant?
I'm glad to be outside, actually.
Yeah, well, let's go straight into this because I had to prise you away from the computer today, didn't I? You did not want to come out to our lovely woodland riverside normal podcast track because you were head down right in the middle of web page tinkering was the agenda for today, was it?
Yeah. I've been indoors actually for the last few days. I've spoken to quite a few people actually recently. Actually, that I think I've got about 2 days max before I start to sort of like bounce off the walls a little bit. This week it has kind of been a bit indoors. It's been a mixture of things really. It's been quite a week for events. You know, it's Easter holidays in a lot of the country, so there's not been much on in Leeds to go to. And we've got a lot of work to do really, sort of like rewrite a lot about what we're doing, get our events calendar up. Really exciting to write about them, but I wish I was actually on them, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely. And so this kind of ties into exactly what I want us to focus on today, which is it's the messy middle, isn't it? It's the age-old problem that we all know that founders, business leaders, owners of businesses are stuck in the business when they need to be working on the business, and we all know it, and yet it is still a problem. And I just want to give a bit of a reality check into the business that we are building at the moment, because we absolutely have not got it all together, do we? And so where we are at the moment is that Ant and I are both working absolutely flat out to build Wild Edge Works. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts around here. You know, we are doing all the working in the business, we are doing all the working on the business, and we are doing all the delivery at the moment as well as having 3 young kids who need us a lot at the moment. And I've had a bit of a slap round the chops this week on that front as well, in that the kids really do need us, and it is such a conflict. And I just want to talk a little bit about that, if that's okay, Anne, because I think that's the case for a lot of people at the moment, and we can't discount that guilt that we feel as business owners and parents as well. So where do we start? So we have got a 16-year-old who is doing GCSEs this year. We have got an 11-year-old who is doing SATs this year and is about to move up to high school. And we've got a 6-year-old who is also doing SATs this year. And let's put a bit of context here. I am also deep into the perimenopause. So I've got that emotional roller coaster that I am currently navigating as well as everything else. Ant, do you want to speak to that before we go any further?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, you're good. You're steadying out the hormonal roller coaster in our house.
Trying to.
Yeah. Just a little example of the conflict that's going on in the moment. I made the mistake of going into the kids' bedrooms before, and they are an absolute tip. Like, I'm talking, I won't, go into the kids' privacy, but it was pretty gross, and that is one of my triggers. And that sent me off on a spiral of, why the hell are we working this hard to have the kids just, treat us like skivvies, which is, I can exactly hear my mum in that voice, which I'll save that story for a different podcast. But it's hard, isn't it, when you feel like you're working your butt off to give everything to your kids, and the bedroom's an absolute tip. And I know they're kids, I know that's what happens, but it is a bit of a trigger for me. And I've said to you, Anne, haven't I, that we're having a screen ban after school until they're tidy.
Yeah, because it ties back into the guilt though, doesn't it? I mean, the way I feel about it sometimes is that, yeah, the bedrooms are a mess, but that's kind of down on me again, in that if we took the time in trying to instill good habits and that sort of thing in the kids, which we do, but we haven't got time to do them all. You know, yeah, there's always something you drop, isn't there? There's always something you end up beating yourself up about.
Yeah, yeah, there really is. So we have just booked to go to Cornwall for Easter, which is where we go every Easter. It's our family happy place. We bodyboard. You guys surf. I definitely do not. And we just play lots of board games, and we go to lots of castles, and we go on bike rides, and we just have a lovely, lovely time, don't we? And I cannot wait to get to Cornwall, and I'm really pleased that we can, because again, another reality check with running a business is it's not always possible to have the holidays you want to have. And I'm scared of telling our teenager that we're going, because she's getting into that age of she doesn't want to come on holiday with us anymore. And yeah, there's another layer about that guilt of that as well, that time's running out.
Yeah, but I think we all need a break together. I think this is where we parents a little bit, isn't it? You know, I think the kids could always say things like, "I don't want to go on holiday. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that." But sometimes we know that it might be in their best interests to do so.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll get down there and the kids will all be bored in the van, and they'll be bored. You know, when we're sort of like sat there doing very little, you know, on some of the days because we just want to rest. But they'll look back and they'll realise how important that boredom was.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. So they haven't got their heads buried in the screens the whole time. Another point of guilt while this has turned into therapy a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But hopefully whoever's listening to this will resonate with it if you've got kids, or any sort of care and responsibilities, or anything that gets in the way of you running a perfect business. We had parents' evening last night, and I know you took this differently from me, but our youngest is an absolute firecracker. She is the light of my life. I adore her. But I was a little bit surprised at some of the test SAT results. She didn't quite do as well as I would have expected. And I've chosen my words quite carefully here, because our elder two have had an exceptionally easy run at school, and we don't compare them. And I know that SATs are absolute rubbish and don't mean anything, but it kind of blindsided me a bit, because it's nothing about her, because she's really happy. She's a really happy kid, and that's the most important thing. But the reason I'm telling the story is because I felt the guilt that I should have been more present. I should have been supporting her more. And I'm not talking about, hot housing her and making her work harder or anything like that. And it's not about her, it's about me feeling guilt that I'm at the stage where I'm working all the time.
Yeah. This is why it's so important, though. You know, we need to. There's all perspective there, isn't there? But it's very, very easy to get caught up and in your own head a little bit about it all. But yeah, she's doing absolutely fine. You know, she's doing absolutely fine. She's behind where we think we want her to be. I don't know. I think she's bang on where she expects to be, really. And don't forget, she's the youngest person in the year as well. You know, there is that factor. And she's doing absolutely fine. But the thing is, it's very easy to get caught up in that and get caught up in your own head, which is why that's why we do what we do, isn't it? We just need to get a bit of perspective on this sort of thing and actually forget about all the guilt we're feeling and understand actually what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason I'm sharing this. Some might say I'm oversharing this episode. It's because I want to give a really raw, messy, authentic account of the journey that we are on at Wild Edge Works, but also to normalise that if you listening to this are in the messy middle, or feeling the guilt, or caught up in your own head, the message I want to give is that change your environment, get some perspective. Things always look better if you step outside and get some perspective. There are a million things that I could be doing right now other than wandering down this quite stunningly beautiful woodland track. We're standing here and we're watching the River Aire rush by, and there's a bit of a swirl over there. There's some white water because it's still quite full. If I turn around to my right, there are bluebells starting to appear, and I adore a bluebell wood. You can probably hear the water, you can probably hear the bird song. It really, really is beautiful. And it is genuinely hard to tear yourself away from doing all the other things. And we've still got such a pervasive culture in our society, economy, how we run businesses, that if you're not sat at your desk bashing your head until you make something happen, that you're not properly working.
Well, literally today. I mean, let's be honest. About 15 minutes ago, literally at home, you told me you need to go out and record a podcast today. I listed off probably about 4 or 5 things I absolutely need to get done before I go away, which I still haven't got time to do. And when I thought to myself, well, all right, well, I need to go out anyway. But yeah, I feel better just we've been here now.
Yeah. Can you describe how you were feeling sat at your desk doing all the things, first and foremost?
Honestly, it feels like the walls close in sometimes, especially if you're working on your own. And I know a lot of people we work with, some have offices, some don't. Some have teams who are remote, some don't. But I know that a lot of them, they do spend a lot of time at the desk on their own, in a room on their own. And I think when you are at a desk trying to make things happen through a screen, things don't always happen instantly. But it's very easy to forget that. And then you attach me into that as well. It's like, well, actually, I've done all this stuff. Why is nothing happening? You then sort of like get notifications on LinkedIn about the news. News cycles are very, very negative at the moment, for good reason. But it's very easy to get sucked into that world. It's a weird feeling. It's almost like you being at home or being in the office on your own. It sucks you into social media, which tells you much more about the negativity in the wider world. And the irony is that you're more alone than ever. Where actually, as soon as you go out and meet people in the local world, speak to people in person, it seems a lot further away. Not to say that those things aren't important, because they are, but I think we can sometimes amplify the negative messages in our mind. So yeah, that's how I was feeling.
It's very similar for me as well, actually. I'm in one of those phases where, despite all the productivity stuff that I teach and know intimately, my to-do list is longer at the end of the day than it was at the start. There's a lot of bitty, time-stealing emails coming in at the moment. A lot of messages landing in my inbox, people wanting me to do a thing. And I feel that kind of tightness in my chest, which I know is linked to overwhelm, which is an old friend, should we say. And even though I teach and know intimately how to prioritise, how to focus, how to set boundaries around stuff that's somebody else's priority, should we say, I can still feel those feelings creeping in. So I was very much feeling the same way as you. Okay, next question. How were you feeling when I said, right, you need to drop everything and come out to the woods with me and record a podcast?
Honestly, I would say that...
Stroppy teenager I'd go for.
No, it wasn't stroppy teenager. I think it was a feeling of, I don't really want to do this right now because there are a million other things I could be doing. But also, it was a feeling, actually, I need to do this. It's not begrudging. It's almost like an acceptance that, yeah, I need to do this. I need to do it willingly and without holding anything back, in terms of like dragging my feet or anything like that. I just need to make it happen. But still be a bit cross about it as well.
Yeah, fair enough. And I felt a little bit the same. It was oh gosh, have we really got time to record a podcast this week? But again, I know that I'd committed to doing it, so here we are. And I knew that it was very easy to let it slide. There's plenty of excuses why we couldn't have made it this week. Would anybody really care if we didn't put an episode out this week?
Oh, that's the wrong sort of thinking. I think that is very, very, a very easy thought pattern to get into, which doesn't do you any favours.
Of course. Okay, so question number 3 is, how do you feel now now that we're outside? We've been outside for about 15 minutes.
Better. 15 minutes isn't a cure-all, but it's certainly just speaking to people as well. Actually, on outside, it helps to sort of just process some of the things you're going through, just asking those questions, going through them as well. Yeah, feeling a lot better. It's an interesting thing you say, actually. I mean, when you mentioned the productivity before, I feel like this last couple of weeks, especially because we've had so much to do, and I think the problem with running your own businesses is that if you don't do it, it just doesn't get done. You know, and I think again it goes back into it's a very, very easy habit to get into, to say I'll do that tomorrow. So this last few weeks we've been absolutely at it, sort of just making sure we get everything done. And I think productivity isn't something that comes necessarily naturally to humans. I don't know about you, Claire, but I definitely feel like you've got to go into a mode. You've got to say, okay, this is how I'm going to process things, this is how I'm going to do things, and that you can only do that for so long before you burn out. Which is, again, why this is more important, because I think this is like the reset you need sometimes after doing that to catch up again, come back again.
Yeah. We're not designed to work at this pace forever. I mean, productivity, who's it for? Surely it's better to work in a flow state than be able to tick off a insane to-do list. And as you were just speaking then, I was just reminded of one of my favourite lines, which I've used before on here, and I've used a lot in the writing, but I'm gonna use it again because I think it underlines everything we're trying to say, is that as founders, as business owners, as leaders, it's about accepting where is the best application of our time, talents and energy. And at the end of the day, all we've got is our energy and focus and our time, and a decision about where we put that. And I know that can be confronting sometimes because there are lots of different pulls on your time, but we do have control about where we spend our time. And one of the jobs of wearing the CEO or the MD hat or the owner hat is accepting that where you spend your time is more valuable than other people's. And I know that can be confronting for some people to own that. I had this conversation with somebody on a beacon session the other day, and it's accepting that idea, or owning that idea, that you can go outside for half an hour and have one idea that changes the entire trajectory of the business, that is equal to somebody else in the business' whole week of graft. And it's hard for people to own that, right?
Yeah, you know what, Claire? I think this is the conversation, I'm sure you're the same, that I have with everyone that I work with. It's not just one person. Everyone has the same conversation about how they're so busy. And when it gets down to it, they're just doing everything. But then they're sort of like hyper focusing on the tasks which are low value, and often they've got teams to do.
Yeah.
But they feel like they have to be doing it as well. And it's like, that's not where your value is. That's not where your value is.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening to this and feels like that, then trust me, that is a conversation that I have with everybody I work with.
Yeah. So is that the takeaway from this conversation then, is that if you resonate with anything that we've said in this episode, that if you can just get outside for 15 minutes, you will get some perspective, you will be able to reprioritize about where you should really be spending your time, what you might need to set some boundaries around and say no to. And maybe, just maybe, you'll have an idea that will quantum leap you forward in terms of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, or at least it'll reorder your thoughts that you've already got. You might be in the middle of something where it just doesn't quite make sense, or there's an answer in there somewhere, and all of a sudden you go out, you get a little bit of sort of soft fascination, just gentle distraction, and all of a sudden it all comes together in your subconscious, and there it is.
So let us know what you decide to do as a result of this conversation. We might be recording the podcast from the beach next week, who knows? But thanks for being here, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you very much.